Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Newsround for Anfield Index. It is Monday, the 11th of August. This week, the season will start officially for the Premier League, where Liverpool will start it under the lights at Anfield against Bournemouth. And if you aren't excited for that one, Christ alive, I cannot help you at all. Yesterday, though, we'll talk about that, everything around the Community Shield. There was even more links, suggestions, comments, plenty of quotes coming out either side. Everything is being jumped on in the best possible way right now. We're going to talk about it all. I'm your host, Dave Davis, coming to you from... It's pretty overcast here in Edinburgh, to be all honest. I've seen far nicer days. Fingers crossed, sorry, it might brighten up a bit. Hopefully it's nice wherever you are in the world. But let's get into it right away. And of course, there's only one place we're really going to start: yesterday and the Community Shield. Now, I saw a mix of this, and I commented on Twitter to say it is a glorified friendly. If you've any doubted that, well, if it's not a glorified friendly, why did Ryan Gravenberch why does Ryan Gravenberch serve the suspension against Bournemouth and not in this one? Because it's a friendly. It's not a competitive game. Maybe competitive is the wrong word. I know some of you will jump on that, but who cares on a Monday morning, eh? It doesn't really matter in the context of things. In fact, yes, of course you want to win every game you play, but maybe it might just be a little early wake-up call, or just a few things to consider on the back of this in terms of the shape, the openness, the defensiveness, the defensive lack of cohesion. Now, that's the phrase that I'm plumping for on a Monday morning. Plenty to learn. And the man on the screen there, Virgil van Dijk, he was talking about Wembley disappointment and the focus for Bournemouth. And I have to say, a generational centre-back, we all know how good VVD is, but didn't have the best of games himself yesterday, did he? Gave the penalty away, sort of stepped up oddly as it's played through for Sarr to equalise at 2-2. Let him get it out of his system early doors. You want it out of the way before the Bournemouth and the real stuff kicks off, didn't you? But what did Virgil say? He said, obviously, the emotions are mixed. First of all, disappointing we didn't win the Community Shield. That's what we came here for. There were opportunities to do so, opportunities to avoid it as well. But the reality is today we're losing. This is key, though. It's the end of our pre-season today as well. So we have to be ready now, work our socks off to be ready for Bournemouth. That's all it's about. Someone had said to you yesterday, before this game had been played, listen, I'll do you a deal. You've got to lose the Community Shield, but you'll win against Bournemouth. You snap their hand off, don't you? Deal done. Of course you do. It's all about Friday. That's what it's about this week. Yeah, there'll be comments, there'll be things to delve into, of course, which we'll do now around the Community Shield. But the focus is switched straight away to other things for Liverpool. Friday being the most important. And actually, when I think back a little bit to yesterday, just to tie it together, there were bits, of course, we didn't like. Yes, we were too open at times. Yes, it did seem the ball through to Mateta just split us, that they seem to get down Kirkez's side a lot of the times, because Cody Gakpo, I thought, gave it away and didn't have a good game. But you can harp on about the negatives. By the way, Ekitike's goal. By the way, the link between Florian Wirtz and Ekitike. That was nice, wasn't it? Yeah? And actually, almost the other thing I've got to say, I remember when I watched I think it was France, the Lionesses were playing in the penalty shootout game. And I actually said to a mate who had watched it with at the time, said, this is the worst set of penalties I've ever seen, and was almost laughing a bit. I stand corrected. How bad were Liverpool's penalties yesterday? Again, though, maybe it might just serve them well into the coming season. I'm sure you've seen the stat. Is it once in the last 15 years has the Community Shield winner gone on to win the league? People, it doesn't really matter. in the grand context of things. So, yeah, we'll be talking about the Community Shield. We'll be doing a bit of a run through with David Lynch on Media Matters as well, of course, of the other things. But, yeah, the Community Shield, yeah. This is what I like, though. Look at this tweet on Anfield Index. Florian Wirtz created the most chances, 4 for Liverpool. He also made the second most passes into the opposition's final third with 11. He got himself an assist and completed 88% of his attempted passes. A fantastic debut despite the result. And in fact, he could have had more, couldn't he? There was that one where he sort of moves out to the left, flicks it, he gets it back, then plays it into Ekitike. He kind of slices it a bit high and wide. I wouldn't say it was a big chance or a clear-cut chance, but Ekitike will probably have wanted to do better, won't he? And then there's the one where he controls it beautifully, like right on the edge of the box, and he skies it, didn't he? You could see his reaction. He was mad with himself for that finish. But overall, Florian Wirtz, yesterday, everything went through him, didn't he? He was linking it together. He was just causing chaos wherever. And he just had that touch, that composure on the ball. And even the pass he plays to Ekitike, he's telling him where to go, telling him what to do. Very promising from the Leverkusen or former Leverkusen signing. Honestly, there was 2 that I'd really take a standout for me yesterday. Wirtz and Ekitike. Plenty to be positive about. People might throw a Frimpong in there, but listen, it's pre-season. Things not to be positive about, and shameful, really, from some. We all know what happened at the start of the game where there's supposed to be that minute silence for Diogo Jota and Andre Silva, but Virgil van Dijk was asked about it in the mix zone and said, disappointed. That's everything I'd say. There was plenty trying to shush it down, but that didn't help. It's disappointing to hear that. I hope those people go home and be happy with themselves. And Arne Slot was also asked about it in the post-match press conference, and he was honest to say that I'm trying to be a positive person. Maybe they came late, maybe they didn't understand, and doesn't think people will do it deliberately. You're all going to see it different ways, and to be honest, the one thing I would say is there's quite a number of Palace fan accounts condemning it. In fact, I've got to give one a shout out who got in touch with Anfield Index to apologise and shut it down. So that is important to say. Unfortunately, in any fan base, some more than others, as we know, there's going to be a minority of idiots, isn't there? And maybe it is people who came. You don't know, but there usually tends to be that minority. But it is a minority, it's important to say. And it doesn't take away from any of our, as a club, tributes and the things we think. But, yeah, just shameful, really, isn't it? Just a shame. But hey-ho. Other things as well. Virgil kept talking yesterday, and I liked everything he said. He'd always, the captain just hits the right tone. Knew what he was saying full well when he did this. He said, we just lost Darwin and we lost Lucho. There's always room for an attacker in order to strengthen us. So let's see what the window brings. We all know who he's referring to. We all know the area and why he's referring to it. And yeah, I mean, it was quite telling yesterday that Ekitike, Salah, Gakpo, that's your starting lineup. On the bench, well, Federico Chiesa, who wants to go. Arne Slot doesn't fancy him. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Young Rio and Gamoa, who, that was one little sadness, actually. I'm lying there. I said only 1 or 2. That I would have liked to have seen him got a few minutes, because what does it really matter? And also, I think he could have just helped us maybe terrorise Palace's defence for even a short period. And Cody Gakpo was having a bit of a stinker. So, yeah, I was a bit surprised that he didn't come on, but hey-ho. But it's telling maybe that he didn't come on at the same time. Everyone knows we need at least one more. I think everyone wants 2 attackers, don't they? And, I mean, I tweeted this tongue-in-cheek, and I just think people missed the point, because after that goal, I was like, just tweeted, just explain to me again why we want to pay 135 million to remove this Ekitike Wirtz. And oh my God, people just, I get you can say that the tone, the nature doesn't always come through Twitter, but have a word, people. Honestly, there was a guy tweeting me like, "Do you understand what depth means?" No, I'd never heard of it. Tell me a little more about this depth thing. I mean, come on. We all know we need at least one. I mean, ideally, I think we need two, don't we? Because again, it's a friendly, so you can't jump on it. But if you don't fancy Rio and Gamora in those situations, maybe Arne Slot was sending a bit of a message there. Maybe not. Maybe you can read it too deeply. But we can look like all of a sudden very, very quickly. So, and the thing I think back to last season in that situation, and every season's different, I get it. In the situation we were in yesterday, Darwin would have come in to run the channels. Lucho would have come in for Gakpo as well. That would have been two senior attackers coming in, which could have well changed the course a bit. And all of a sudden, Palace have got different problems, haven't they, to contend with. But they're not there anymore. Yeah, Lucho Diaz is at Bayern Munich. And Darwin, well, he was scoring for Al Hilal yesterday. And if you get time, I would have a little read of this because it's a nice little message that he posted on social media saying, "Thank you, Liverpool. 3 years on, it's time to say goodbye. I'll take with me countless memories that will live with me forever." So there's a few posts on various social medias, but good luck to Darwin. He was banging one in for Al Hilal in a friendly, wasn't he, yesterday? And I suppose the place I want to finish on this is what we're taking into it for the new season. And probably the right person to, of course, talk about that is this man. What are the thoughts of pre-season for Arne Slot?
Is it something you've learned from today? It's been even though you've not come away with the win, but you've learned something to go into the season with?
Yeah, but that's not something new. I think in the whole pre-season we saw how that we are able to create more and we're more comfortable on the ball. We create more opportunities, chances. We dominate maybe even more. Now, last season we had a lot of ball possession, but that didn't always lead to promising situations. Now we are better in creating and getting promising situations than we were, in my opinion, throughout the whole last season. But the other side is also true that we've conceded 4 against Milan, 1 against the Japanese team, 2 against Bilbao, and again 2 today.
Balance is the key word there, isn't it? But I agree exactly with what he's saying. We are more of a threat than ever. And I think that even though someone's going to jump on this and say the XG was, 1.0, just the weapons that Arne Slot has at his disposal, those players, we can score goals more than ever. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Yes, depth needs to be addressed. But ultimately, it's that balance at the moment. We haven't really kept any clean sheets, bar, has there been any? It wasn't pressed at a Stoke City behind closed doors. Come on. There's no real clean sheet build-up that you like to see at the start of pre-season, taking it in to Bournemouth. So, yeah, that will be no doubt on Arne Slot's mind. How do I just tweak it to get the balance right, which wasn't quite there yesterday, especially the later the game went on as well. This isn't to the balance, but important things came out of Wembley yesterday. When I say people speaking, Steve Parish, the Crystal Palace chairman, was speaking. And as the headline came out from Ed Aarons in The Guardian there, Crystal Palace are keen to sell captain Marc Guehi before the transfer window closes. And also one of the bullet points, Liverpool are reluctant to pay the 40 million asking price. Now, why are we mentioning that? Because Steve Parish was asked yesterday directly in the mix zone, what about Marc Guehi's future? Will you have to sell him? Could you let him run it down on a free? And he said, no, and this is what he said directly. We'd have to do that, of course, as in, get a fee for him. For players of that caliber to leave on a free, it's a problem for us, unfortunately. Last summer, Joachim Andersen went to Fulham and we couldn't afford to lose both. We then had another bid in January, but that was a different situation. We'll just have to see what happens. But it needs a new contract or a conclusion of some kind. I think this is great to hear because if there was any doubt now, Marc Guehi's kind of been clear through his agency and, he's not going to sign a new deal. So it's got to reach a conclusion of some kind. Marc Guehi is odds on to depart Crystal Palace this summer. And of course, we all know where we want him to end up. Liverpool will not pay something that starts with a 4 in front of it, but this does feel like a little bit of leveraging in our direction. Of course, everyone was laughing yesterday, wasn't there, about the handshake between Arne Slot and Marc Guehi and Virgil van Dijk, giving it the Bobby Firmino side-eye as well. I'm actually now thinking that if there was any sort of doubts, it kind of now is drawing to, for me, an inevitable conclusion. I will be highly surprised if Marc Guehi doesn't end up at Anfield, which is great because that gives us depth in that centre-back position. By the way, it probably wouldn't have changed yesterday too much. Konate and VVD would have started, and I know VVD didn't have the best of games, but I don't think that was ultimately the problem. It was more the system, I think, than anything. But that, for me, is a positive. In terms of a little sadness, Paul Joyce tweeted this, didn't he, when the team news came out, when the squad news came out. And as it starts in that tweet, Kostas Tsimikas not in the Liverpool squad. Nottingham Forest asked earlier in the transfer window about the left back, and there's been more European and domestic interest. Liverpool would only consider a permanent deal at this stage. We mentioned this on the transfer show many, many weeks back that Forest were interested in Kostas Tsimikas, and Leeds, we know, have made inquiries. And again, Monaco, that there's various clubs on the continent. And this was always going to happen at some point, wasn't it? Liverpool cannot carry 3 senior left backs, into the new season. Of course they can't. In fact, you saw Andrew Robertson come on for Milos Kerkez yesterday. Someone's going to go. It does look like now that is a clear message, which there is a bit of sadness because he's a popular figure and he's been clear, Kostas Tsimikas, that playing 15, 20 games for Liverpool means more to him than playing sort of 40, 50 games for a mid-table club or something along those lines. I can't remember the exact quotes, but that's where this is heading, unfortunately, isn't it? Few more quid into the kitty to be spent could be the positive you're drawn for it. And if he does leave, he leaves with everyone's warmest wishes. And we all know where money will be going. Virgil van Dijk's talked about it. And even last night, Romano was still on one of his pods saying that Liverpool have a feeling Newcastle are still very active in the striker market because they know that Isak isn't changing his mind. He wants to go to Liverpool. Liverpool maintain their confidence in trying to make a deal happen. It remains concrete. It's going to be a week where Liverpool maintain their contacts active on the player side. Now, we all want this to happen, of course. We all feel it's inevitable, largely. But it's interesting that people are like, it's got to happen next week. Ideally, yes. But Isak can't play against Bournemouth. He's not going to be fit enough for a start. And honestly, if Isak was to come right now and arrive at Anfield, how long before he's fit? I mean, he's not going to play that Newcastle game, is he, for either side? The smart money's there. So Liverpool are going to play this cautiously, knowing full well where the end game is. But that's also why a lot of us would like another attacker in now, such as a Malik Fofana, of course. But other things just to mention when it says that, Newcastle still very active. Worth mentioning, this came out, didn't it, late last night in the Telegraph and from a few others. Nicholas Jackson does favour the Newcastle move. And Visser looks like he's headed to St James's Park as well, doesn't he? Atara from Bournemouth into Brentford, so that allows that. So it's Visser and Jackson. We know what that would allow at this point, eh? Plenty to do. I think even when you go back to yesterday, you will define how disappointed you are. Not massively for me. I think there's a few good lessons there. You look to the bench, you need attacking reinforcements. You look to the bench, you need at least one more centre-back, don't you? Didn't get any updates, which is my only sort of forward-looking bit. I would have liked someone to ask about Connor Bradley and Joe Gomez. That didn't seem to come up anywhere. That was a bit of a disappointment for me. I know people say always save that for this week. No, let's know now. We'll see. There is plenty going on. There is 1,000,001 things I know we're going to be talking about. Later on, we've got David Lynch on Media Matters. I think Chat G&G's later on. The season is now properly upon us. But ultimately, people, this was a friendly. The real stuff starts on Friday evening. Anfield under the lights. I will be there. We'll all be watching wherever we are in the world. Cannot wait. But on Monday, the 11th of August, that was another news round for Anfield.